It is Nottingham Trent University, and that's where Matt Norris, our zoologist, lives and keeps some of the most creepy crawly super species in his collection. Although today he's at home, he's got a massive millipede and some wingless roaches. Hi Matt, thank you as ever for coming on and bringing your different animal displays. There's always some, do you know what, if someone said, what animals do you think Matt's going to bring on, I would never be able to guess correctly.
Oh no, it's always just a random assortment. Even I don't know what I'm bringing on, and the day before I just pick something out of a hat and I'm like, there we go, we'll show them that.
To see what's lying around the house. So first of all, we have, well, a millipede of sorts. Is that right?
We do indeed. Yeah, so this is an African train millipede. So people may have seen millipedes in the UK before because we do have European millipedes over here. However, they are not quite as large as this guy. So African train millipedes are the largest species in the world that's alive today. And they get just over a foot long when they're fully grown. But they're actually not the largest millipede that has ever lived. That title is held by a millipede that lived several million years ago, which could actually get 6 foot long. So this is quite large by today's standards, but otherwise pretty tiny.
That's not a millipede, that's a fairground ride. Do you know, right, can you tell it's a millipede and not a centipede? Have you counted all the legs before coming on?
Or, as usual, Ed, as usual, a fantastic question. No, I have not counted the legs. However, you're quite right to mention the legs because centipedes do generally have fewer legs than millipedes. But it's not that centipedes have 100 legs and millipedes have 1,000, as some people think.
Oh, yeah.
But the reason that millipedes normally have more legs than centipedes is because per body segment, and you might just about be able to see on the camera that their whole body is split into almost like a little chain. Millipedes basically have 4 legs per body segment, whereas centipedes only have 2 legs per body segment. So it means if you have a millipede and a centipede of a similar length, the chances are that a millipede will have roughly double the number of legs. But I haven't counted this individual's legs. I can tell you that they have roughly 250 legs in total.
Oh, right. Oh, okay. Now, I am one of those people who thought that, you know, 100 versus 1,000. And maybe not this kind. These won't live in your garden, will they? Will they?
No. I think most people in the UK will be very grateful to learn that. So these guys, yeah, they need to stay inside nice and warm. So coming from Africa, they need to be kept in tropical and subtropical conditions. So, yeah, you won't get any of these out in your garden. But you do get ones in the UK, and the maximum length of one you might see in the UK is about 1 inch versus about, a foot in for this guy.
And what will he eat?
So these guys in captivity eat rotting fruit. So if you do happen to keep them as pets, what's really handy is they'll eat any fruit that has gone out of date in the fruit bowl. So instead of sticking it in the bin, you can pop it in for these guys and they'll devour it.
Oh wow, my children do that as well. Right, let's put the millipede down for a little bit. Now this one, we've got Madagascan hissing cockroaches, which sound like something made up, to be honest with you. But they're wingless as well, are they? Which is always a bit of a relief. You don't want these flying in your face.
Oh, yeah. No, you would not. I mean, if this flew in your face, it would probably knock you out. They're so big. So, yeah, rest assured, they cannot fly. But, yeah, these guys come from Madagascar. I might be able to get them to hiss for you. It depends if they want to put on a show.
Oh.
Oh, I don't know if you heard that. It's just a really small hit. Oh, no, you basically massage them along the abdomen.
Oh, that's a relief.
And how they make the hissing noise is actually by expelling air really quickly through these tiny holes that they have in the sides of the abdomen. So insects breathe through holes in the abdomen, and they're called spiracles. So they don't have proper lungs like we do. But yeah, basically, if you irritate them enough, essentially, and they think you're a predator, they will force air out of those holes so quickly that it makes that kind of hissing noise. And obviously the idea is that scares you away.
So essentially they're just tutting, really. It's not the most menacing, is it?
No, exactly.
Cockroaches have a really bad reputation, don't they? And they could survive a nuclear attack. Again, that's probably another misconception. But so where do they live? What's their point?
What is the point in their existence?
Yeah,
Another good question. So in their natural environments, these guys essentially act as something called a detritivore, which basically means that they break down rotting material most of the time. You do get some exceptions. So, for example, these guys, again, in Madagascar, they typically will eat rotting fruit, a bit similar to what the millipede does in Africa. And so they kind of have this function in the environment of breaking down these things that could otherwise rot and cause disease. And they basically recycle the nutrients. But the reason they get a bad rep, unfortunately, with ourselves is in some of the warmer parts of the world, you can obviously get cockroaches and they'll get into your like your rubbish bins and they'll eat essentially all of our waste that we're throwing away. But obviously that can become unhygienic for us. So they get a bad rep. But actually what they're doing is just feasting most of the time on the waste that we're discarding, essentially.
Is it true that if you stand on them, they multiply? I don't know whether I've got this from a fact or from Men in Black. I can't remember.
No, they're good questions. They're good questions. So, and you asked one earlier about the nuclear attack and if they can survive it. So, basically, cockroaches are able to live without a head for a certain amount of time. So, I think that is where the idea that if you tread on them, they multiply comes from. But also, a lot of the time, the females will keep eggs towards the end of the abdomen when they're getting ready to lay them. So, I reckon that misconception has come from the fact that if someone has stamped on a female, essentially it will explode, but it might cast its eggs out, and then eventually those eggs will hatch, and then people might think that the cockroach has multiplied. So that's probably that myth. As for the nuclear attack, basically cockroaches can actually tolerate much higher levels of radiation than humans can. I think it's something like 20 times more.
Matt, I'm being told we have to wrap it up. I've been waiting my life to find out that story, but thank you as always. Matt Norris coming on the show.